Hardcore Lies.
Hey guys, Rob Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 Apostrophe. Lost my train of thought there for a second. Week 559. It is Scream Factory Volume 6. There's a lot of Scream Factory titles out there. But here's one that I've wanted to do for the longest of times. But in the context of the week, I won't really do a deep dive of the film necessarily. I'll scratch the surface, give some few thoughts, but kind of look at the box set here. So, of course, I'm looking at Apocalypse, that is Rec 4, the fourth and final installment in the Rec series. Just a quick little look at the box set from Scream Factory. A little history on this film, or the release in general. Once I woke up to the idea of what it means to be region free, got my player and started ordering, Amazon UK, Germany, Italy, whatever. The Rec series was always on, within the radar. I've always wanted to have the series. Absolutely love the first couple films. Never had a chance to really get into the latter two. And so, I think I had two, maybe three, at least two, what looked to be pretty good box sets on Amazon Spain. And I can't remember the prices, but they seemed reasonable enough. I'd never ordered anything from Spain, still haven't. But I came close to pulling the trigger a few times. And I think as I was getting ready to really pull the trigger, suddenly pre-order pops up for Scream Factory releasing the entire franchise, right? And I thought, well, there you go. We'll we'll go Scream Factory. Then I know, at least the English, or not dubs, but the English subtitles, it will be in check, and I won't have any issues with that. It is in Spanish with English subtitles. And if you're familiar, they did make a Quarantine was the American remake of Rec. Inferior doesn't even begin to express in comparison what Rec is. If all you know is Quarantine or Quarantine 2, you really need to check out Rec. And Rec 2 may even be better than Rec 1. I have a fondness in my heart for Rec 3. Excuse me, I love some Rec 3. And 4, which I just rewatched last night, I really do like as well. But just take a quick look at the box. So Scream Factory is pretty good. The sturdiness of the cardboard. You know what? I didn't even look to see if this was still in print, accessible. You can always go check Amazon first, and then maybe go to Scream Factory site and see if it's still accessible. But it did a pretty good job on the release overall. I have a real fondness in my heart for that one. And of course, the one in question, which we'll just do this real quick here. From Fangoria, offers plenty of gory horror fun. And it does. It does. I agree with that. But a bit of a little synopsis here. Several hours after the terrible events that ravaged the apartment building in Barcelona, something new has emerged. Elite soldiers infiltrate the building to put an end to the nightmare. They think their mission is a success. Angela, I love it that she came back for this last film. Television reporter who first enters the building with the firemen just hours before, manages to make it out alive, but no one knows that she carries the virus inside of her, or does she? That's a question. Interesting how they phrase this. When she is taken to quarantine, the high security isolation facility, which they don't mention in the synopsis, is a cargo ship out in the middle of the ocean. You want to be safe, right? Becomes the perfect breeding ground for the virus to be reborn and mutate into an even more deadly form, setting the scene for unimaginable horrors. The apocalypse has just begun. Yeah, I think the only thing, this is kind of missing is the real threat as to what's going to happen if this ship, if they lose control of this virus, which initially seems to be contained well. The problem is, as I said with the synopsis, does she have the parasite or not have the parasite is the question. That leads to, they have a host on ship, probably needed to be a little bit more secure than it was, although there still is a question how we'll just call him the antagonist for lack of a better thing, somebody unleashes the host on the ship. So the host doesn't get out on its own. Somebody lets this thing, it's a monkey, lets it loose, finds its way into the chef's kitchen, and there begins the horror once this guy is attacked. And that is quite an intense scene, man, where he ends up actually trapping the monkey on a frying pan on the oven, and pinning it down with the lid. And that's pretty intense moment. But then begins, right? You got contaminated food, you've got the chef, right? And from there, it just begins to break out. Well, and I said I wouldn't do that much of a deep dive, but it's all sort of coming into my head. Angela, of course, is being tested in and through and in out, whatever. And there comes to a point against the main doctor or the main scientist, his own belief, especially based on video footage that is seen, retrieved from the building, Rec 1-2. He is positive she has a parasite, and that is that's what they need to tap into. They need to get this parasite, extract, and create an antidote for this thing before it becomes completely uncontrollable. But the tests come back completely negative. So if she had the parasite, where is the parasite? And so that leads into some interesting revelations, or reveals, I guess. And so once the mayhem starts, man, this is just a gory, viral infection film run amok on a ship. And so, it's interesting with the Rec series because, the first two are contained in an apartment building complex. But the third one is sort of an offshoot at a wedding, and there was a connection. I think it had to do with a dog at a veterinary place. Maybe the dog was infected or something. There was a connection point. But the wedding serves as an opportunity to revisit what you've just seen in Rec 1 and 2. But in the beginning, they ditched the found footage aspect. The first two are strictly, I believe, found footage. The third one ditches it in favor of a more traditional film, which the transition point is really brilliant. I love the transition point for that. And it's a great story. I absolutely love it. Maybe my favorite aspect of part 3 is the idea of what may be causing this viral, this infection, this possession, perhaps. There are some neat key moments in that third film that I really, really love that sort of get ditched in favor of a parasite in 4. That might be the only thing, I don't know, that might be the only thing I sort of, I think I would have rather preferred an interesting possession, but with an real interesting twist on it. And I just love 3. I really do love 3. Now, I think 2 is probably, if I had to order them real quick off the top of my head, I would go Rec 2, Rec 3, Genesis, and 4, Apocalypse. Real quick, let me just run through the extras. It is a Screen Factory release. Rec 1 offers the best. You got an audio commentary by the writer and directors of the film. And the making of Rec, teaser and theatrical trailer, TV spots, interviews, behind the scenes. You move on into Rec 2. All you have is the making. I'm sorry, jumped into Rec 4. Rec 2, you got some deleted scenes, behind the scenes featurettes. I walk through the set, Rec 2 on tour, trailers, and something from the Sitges Film Festival press conference. 3 deleted scenes, outtakes, theatrical trailer. And 4, the making of Rec 4 Apocalypse theatrical trailer. So in terms of the extras, the only one that offers us a commentary to listen to the writer-directors on this is the first rack. So, you know, they probably, I mean, in terms of the art and everything, I mean, everything looks great. The discs look great. Just go through real quick. So far I haven't dropped anything. That's pretty good. I think, you know, the only downside, and it's not really a downside, yeah, just a scene from the movie. The only downside is, you know, you kind of start off all right with the extras on the first film, and then, you know, you take a big drop with the second film, and right to the end of for 4. So, you know, as a complete set series, there's a little bit left to be desired. If you're an extra, if you're into extras, love commentaries, it's a shame. Now I'll say this: I did see on the packaging that, I can't remember if I listened to that commentary or not, but it is in Spanish but with English subtitles, which is pretty cool. I wish they would have done it for every film. But then again, without that first commentary track, the only one fresh on my mind, or I can't remember if I've actually listened to it or not. They might have talked overview of the entire franchise well enough that maybe Scream Factory decided there was no need to do 3 more separate commentary tracks. And this comes out at a time where, well, I mean, you know, there are film historian. It's too bad they didn't get someone like Nashi Cast that specializes in Spanish films, albeit Nashi, Paul Nashi films, but they, you know, do move away a little bit from. It's too bad they didn't find a good podcast that could have covered these films. That would have been pretty cool. So, I mean, you know, the packaging, the box itself, if you don't own Rec and you're a really fan, I mean, it's hard to argue not to pick it up. I guess it kind of depends on the price, right? I probably got a better thing here than if I would have just pulled the trigger on one of those early box sets that I saw on Amazon Spain. Chances probably pretty good. There probably would have been no English subs. It would have just been in Spanish, which is fine. You can still enjoy the movie if you don't, you know, hear all the dialogue necessarily. But I'm glad Scream Factory did put it out when they did. It kept me from pulling a trigger on something that maybe I would have been a little although there was one box set that looked pretty good. I really liked the packaging of it. But all in all, man, they look great. The transfers are great. Again, English subs. It's just maybe for Scream Factory, it's a little lacking on the extras, aside from that opening commentary track on Rec, first one. But man, they are fabulous films. As I said, 2, 1, 3, 4. 4's enjoyable. I don't know much. I mean, I don't know how to feel about the ultimate wrap-up of it. I don't know. It seems a bit hasty, or maybe they just weren't sure. Maybe they just thought it was the best way to wrap it up, and that's fine. It's the writer and director. It's their thing, man. It's their films, man. They're awesome films. They're fun films. And even if you just watch part 4 for the gore, some great scenes, man. It's a contained horror film. Well, I would say Rec 1 and 2 and 4 are the most contained. 3 is a wedding, and there is opportunity to break out right from there much easier than the other 2 or 3. And so overall, the Rec series, man, as I said, man, Quarantine, absolutely inferior to any of these movies. And I don't even own Quarantine, and I don't plan on owning Quarantine. Not to step on any toes out there, but look, when foreign horror gets it right, stick with it. There's no need every time something good comes out for someone to suddenly holler, "We need an Americanized version." Why? Whether it's Train to Busan, it doesn't matter what it is. Anytime something good comes out, someone's there hollering up a storm, Americanize it, and then you get a really freaking crappy. And I'm not saying every single attempt ultimately ends up a piece of garbage. I'm just saying stacked against the original piece. That's just me, though, you know. And for people who just can't take reading subtitles, I don't have any problem with it. I love reading subtitles. Can subtitles be done not as great as they are at other times? Sure. But, you know, I mean, I would rather watch a superior foreign horror film than get a crappy Americanized version. It's just crap, whether you're free of the subtitles or not. For me, I'd rather have the foreign horror piece, right? So anyways, Wreck, the box set, Apocalypse, great gore, contains some interesting, really fun scenes. In the end, Angela's great in this movie, I think. She's a lot of fun. Guzman, who, reprises his role. It's the supporting cast is great, man. It's just great. I love it, man. Wreck's a good time. So, from Scream Factory, specifically Wreck 4, but a little overview of the entire thing. Check it out. See if it's still in print, worth it, the price. Everything seems to be going up these days, but not much you can do about that. As always, we end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. We might be useful to you.